What's going on, everyone? It's Sheena, aka Sheenapreneur, your favorite veteran. Today I want to talk about how you can leverage your job skills and move them into your government contracting business. Now, this is something that most people won't talk about because it's not something that most people think about. If you're already working, or if you have a skill or a degree or something that you just like super good at, that you could actually turn that into your government contracting business. So let's get started. Okay, so I have been told before that people have worked in a job, whether it was a military job or whatever, civilian job, or even they had a degree in something, and then they went to an organization that's supposed to help you with government contracts, and that organization tells them that that doesn't count for government contracting. That blows my mind because that is 1000% not true. Now, you as a human, your past performance or your previous experience absolutely counts towards your government contracting business. Don't let anyone tell you that your skills and your job and your previous experience is a hindrance to your government contracting journey. So basically what I'm saying is, let's say that you have a degree in horticulture. Of course, that happens to be one of my favorite industries, and I have never worked in horticulture. I didn't grow up in a house that had a lot of plants or a lot of foliage. I didn't grow up on a farm, but I just took on a liking to plants and plant care and all that kind of wonderful nerdy stuff. Like, I literally am like a plant nerd for real. But nonetheless, horticulture, I don't have a degree in it, but I have a extreme interest in it. But let's just say you have a degree in it and you did internships, or you did some, odd jobs here and there, and you want to get into that with your government contracting business, which there are horticulture government contracts. There is a NAICS code for it. You could take that same skill that you have, even if you didn't have it as a government contract or you didn't serve in a leadership position, doing that actual skill, you can turn that into your government contracting business. Boom. So I've actually recently bid on a horticulture or inside landscaping contract for myself, something that I want to do. And I know that sounds kind of crazy, like, what you're going to be doing, the watering plants, but that's what I like to do. And to get paid to do it is a dream. It's like a literal dream. So let's say you play an instrument. There are plenty of instrument contracts, and I'll put, with each one that I'm mentioning, I'll go ahead and put the NAICS code so you guys can see it, because it is important for you to know, like, when you're looking for something, you're like, I'm really interested in this item. I'm going to go ahead and see if there's a NAICS code for that. That's one of the main ways to find if there's an industry that you are looking to get into. Just see if there's a NAICS code for it. Just start there. And NAICS codes are not only used for the federal side, they are also used for the local side. Now, the local side also has like NIGP codes, and they have PSC codes on both sides. But really, NAICS code is going to be more universal term that you can use, which is, the national something code, okay? Which is basically like letting the census know, the government know that these types of businesses are going to be segmented in the way that they're supposed to be segmented. So I've talked about NAICS codes in multiple videos, so you can just go ahead and look it up yourself. But if you just go to the NAICS code website up here, then you'll be able to find all the different types of NAICS codes based on the keyword that you put in, or, if you even type up a little description, it may come up with the NAICS code that you're looking for. But anyway, that's a topic for another day. So basically, you could take your job skills and turn them into your government contracting business, even if you did it as an actual job, like that was your career for 20 years in the military, but you have no past performance specifically as a business owner. That still counts. Don't let anyone tell you that is incorrect. A couple of things you need to pay attention to. If you're going after an opportunity, let's say it's in information technology and it's for a help desk, right? If you're in information technology, you're familiar with what a help desk is. It's basically where all the people are sitting in this area, or really they're sitting at home for real, and they are helping you with different IT problems, whether it's hardware, software, internet stuff. Whoever you call when you have a problem with AT&T, that's going to be considered a help desk, okay? So let's say you worked at a help desk for 20 years in the military, 5 years, 2 years, 1 year, and this is what you do. This is what you did. This was your exclusive job. You as a human can still take that information and you can apply it to what this contract has, as long as the contract does not specifically say something to the effect of, you must have had this experience with the same size and scope. Now, what does that mean, Sheena? What that means is, let's say you're familiar with IT. You've been in it for, let's say, 10 years, right? Or let's say 5 years, because 5 years, you might still be considered like a beginner at that point. Just depends on what you did. So you did IT, something in IT for 5 years. And so you see an opportunity where the agency, whether it's a federal agency, a local agency, or even a corporate agency, and they're looking for a complete design build of a mobile app for their organization. You never built an app in your life, and you're like, I've done, software engineer stuff, but not really app building, so that might be a little bit out of your scope. So, and it might say something to the effect of you have to show the previous 5 apps that you've built for other organizations of this same size and the same scope. Then of course you know that you have never built an app in your life and you have no idea what you're doing, or you don't even know anyone that can build an app. Then you may not want to go after an opportunity like that. But if you have information technology experience doing help desk, and then the contract is calling for, they need 2 FTEs, which is full-time employees, if I remember correctly, 2 people, 2 human beings to work in a help desk for that agency, then you're like, okay, I can do that. I can be one person and I can hire my friend that was also in IT and bring them in on this contract, and boom, now you have just won a government contract. Whoop, cheers to you. And you're being paid as a contractor, compared to sometimes when contracts are awarded, the company will hire you, they'll charge the government $200,000 for you, pay you $80,000, and they pocket the rest. That's just what it is. That's how, if you work on a contract as an employee under a contract, more than likely the agency is getting probably more than what you're getting paid. And that's not all bad, because you know they have a lot of overhead and resources, and they might be providing benefits, and then for what you're doing, it may not be that much of a, that too much work, so it doesn't, it's okay if it's only, if it's 80,000 because you're not working that many hours or something like that. So that's just something to keep in mind when you're looking at some of these contracts. Is it something that I can do? Is it something that makes sense? Do I know someone that can do this contract? So just make sure you're paying attention to those certain things within the contract, and so you're not, going after something and then you win and now you have to execute, and then there's a lot of problems that come with some of these larger contracts. So the next thing to think about is, where am I going to find these contracts, right? So depending on what you're going after, it's going to greatly depend on what industry you are in. If you have a niche industry where not a lot of people know about it, or you don't see a lot of opportunities, chances are you might have to pivot. If you were looking at federal contracting, you may have to pivot to local, or you might have to pivot to corporate, because it may be so niche that the government is not going to take time to figure out how to use this thing or how to use this service, or they're going to pay so low that it doesn't end up being worth it. So then you have to go over to the corporate market, which I talked about corporate in multiple videos. So I'd leave a link in the description for how to win contracts with big companies, big names such as Amazon, AT&T, T-Mobile, etc. But nonetheless, depending on what you do will determine on where you find these contracts. So really, one of my favorite websites that I always talk about is govdirections.com, and you can just go in there. It's very user-friendly. That's one of my favorite websites for a reason. And you can type in whatever industry you're looking at, and then it will come up with multiple things within that category and in multiple states, whether it's federal or local. That's the great thing about GovDirections. My next favorite website is instantmarkets.com, and they are similar to GovDirections. They have federal and they have local. The website is a little bit different to navigate, but still pretty user-friendly. And that Instant Markets is free to a point. GovDirections is free to a point, so you have to look at what their current payment structure is, because I've been out of that game for so long that I had signed up with GovDirections and paid the annual, so I have no idea what the price is right now. But nonetheless, go to those 2 websites and you'll see some of the opportunities that are available to you, and then you can kind of pivot. Hey, I have this skill. Let me go after an opportunity that's with this title. Like when I first started in government contracting, and I was looking at, how does, renovations for real estate actually translate over. And then I ended up looking at, facility maintenance, and then it was facility support services, which the next code is 561210. And then even the difference between custodial and janitorial, you just start kind of getting familiar with some of the verbiage of the things that you are looking to do. So you take those same job skills or those same just personal skills or your degree, and then you apply it to, if you don't know what you want to do yet, then you apply it to these websites to try to figure out exactly what you want to move into. Let's just say that you do all those things and you don't really find anything that you really like on GovDirections, Instant Markets, sam.gov, or any of the local websites. Then you kind of have to be a little creative in what you're offering. Your offering may be something that has to be combined with another service. I know lots of people that do, janitorial, or they do debris removal, that do construction. And so a lot of people that are into janitorial will ask me about construction cleanup. Construction cleanup is usually not a separated source. So construction, it includes construction cleanup usually. Now, the best way for you to pivot with that, let's say you only want to do construction cleanup. You got a truck, or you have access to a large truck and you want to be able to do that. You don't want to scrub toilets. You just want to do construction cleanup or even debris removal. Then you would probably it would be more advantageous for you to reach out to a construction company and just ask, who's doing your cleanup for your construction projects? And a lot of times I've heard many times that they use labor ready people. Like they'll find people, no disrespect, find people at Home Depot, or they'll use a labor ready company company that is like day laborers, but they would love to have a company come in and be their construction cleanup for every single project that they have. So that's something that you could think about, where it's not going to have construction cleanup specifically on any of these websites, but you can attach yourself to another project or another organization where you don't even have to bid. Now you've opened yourself up to so many other opportunities where you can just kind of follow this company around with their projects and do construction cleanup, and then they'll refer you to someone else, and then the money's still growing. Those are still considered government contracts. It could be commercial contracts, right? So, but it's still contract based, where you're working with another company that's providing a service for the government or for a commercial company, you know, like Amazon or something like that. So just keep all those things in mind. So another thing I want everyone to pay attention to is like the pitfalls to avoid. When you're working with someone, when you're working with an agency, you want to be very, very clear about what you can and cannot do. And you want to be very, very clear about what they are doing. If you are going to be a subcontractor or a prime contractor with another company that's already been doing this for a while and you happen to be brand new, make sure you vet the companies. Make sure you vet the company. They ask you questions, you ask them questions right back, because you don't know what their reputation is. You don't know how they work. You don't know how they pay. And so if you're not making money, it's a hobby. So you have to make sure that you are paying attention to all the things from a business perspective. Don't just be so excited or so grateful that you got this contract. Make sure that the contract makes sense even from a government agency, because sometimes they might have little verbiage in there that you didn't really pay attention to in the solicitation. And then when the contract rolls out, it's a possibility they could add a few things in there that you didn't understand. And you want to make sure that you do understand, whether you have to hire a lawyer or you have to get a friend to read it, or you just take your time and read it and ask ChatGPT to figure it out, or whatever the case may be. You want to always make sure that you CYA, cover your beep, okay? Cover your, that's what you have to make sure that you are doing for your company, because so many times people get screwed over, even with the mentor protege programs. They get screwed over because they're not reading these contracts. And even if you don't want to read the solicitation, you paid someone else to do the solicitation for, put the contract together for you. Make sure you read the contract after it's executed. That's the most important part before you sign anything. Speaking of which, so we can pay the bills, we have a subscription service that we have just rolled out. So excited. We already have multiple clients that jumped on it as early subscribers. So you are able to get our super deep discounted price for right now, where we have 3 tiers of our contract proposal services. The first one is called Essentials, where we find 2 opportunities for you and we send them to you and you go off and do great things. The next one, GovCon Pro, is where we design the entire proposal for you. You give us the data, we design it, send it to you, go off and do great things. And of course, my favorite is the Agency Suite, where we do everything for you. Your responsibility is to make sure that you are compliant with this proposal that we suggest for you, and we have multiple meetings per month in order to make sure that you are on track with the contract that you are trying to roll out, or we're rolling out for you, but just making sure that everything is in alignment the way that it's supposed to be with this particular contract that we find for you. And we have the 3-tier subscription services for you all, because we heard your complaints. We heard the cries that most people are too afraid or too busy or too stressed to actually read the proposal. So you got to read it, but then you also have to put it together. Most people do not know how to put proposals together. And so we're taking all that guesswork out of it for you, and we're allowing you to choose more than one NAICS code in order to have multiple opportunities to choose from, so you're able to go out and expand your business that you already have, or start off on the good foot with your contracts. Some people ask me, Sheena, why now? Why do I need to get in government contract? And now it's a little scary. At the time of the recording of this video, you know, things are changing, but we have to change with it. So scared money don't make no money. There are still contracts being rolled out. We are still actually winning. Us as a company, Foresight Industries, our clients are actually winning contracts. A lot has changed, but a lot has stayed the same. Okay, so I do preach local a lot. Local contracting has not been affected nearly as much as federal contracting. So I'm telling you to come on over to the local side, even though there's still federal contracts being awarded every single day for millions and millions of dollars. Just, you always want to have as many avenue paths as possible if you plan on staying in government contracting for the long haul. So Sheena, what are the next steps? Okay, make sure when you are evaluating your job skills, whether you're new or you've been in this for a while and you're just like, oh wow, I didn't know that I can use my job skills to go into government contracting. Evaluate what you already have in your personal tool belt, your information, your background, your skills, your previous jobs. And if you want to pivot, then hey, you can expand to do other contracts on your own. Of course, I would always say start with yourself first. If you can't, aren't able to afford any type of subscription service or buy into my GovConNOW course, either one, then I would always say start with yourself first. I've given you multiple free resources on this video, so utilize those, and then also ensure that you are ready, you are contract ready. When you're bidding on a multi-million-dollar contract, are you ready to execute a multi-million-dollar contract? You got to ask yourself that. I don't have the answer to that. I don't know what industry you should go into. I don't know what you should do. All I know is you have to be a business owner and you have to own what you're going to be doing. So stand on it. If you're going to do it, stand on it. That's what my take always is. Me and my teams have so many services to offer, whether you need the course, whether you need a subscription service, whether you need a consultation. Everything is linked in the description below. So make sure that you are ready. Get ready. Like the world is changing. The country is changing. You want to be ready and you want to change with it. So take the step today. Take the step to the next level today. Sign up for the subscription service and or just get out here and start bidding on contracts on your own. Either way, I'm happy because I want people to get more of this GovCon money. Okay, so until next time, it is your favorite veteran.